right, Sarah.
Hello, Jennifer.
It's been a long time since we've been one-on-one.
I know, years ago. This is a pleasure. Well, maybe during AAP. Maybe
Yeah, that it still feels like a long time.
Too long.
Yeah. So you have something to be coached on today?
I do, and it is it's something that came up in the last 24 hours, but the pattern has been in and around my myself for a lot of years, and it seems like this is a new phase or a new iteration of it, but at the root is still this way that I like to be appreciated. So I'll just give you a little thumbnail and see what we can what comes up. Many times I'm the kind of person that I do a lot for other people. I go out of my way. And in working with my children, I'm trying to help them learn that when people do things for them, there's reciprocity, there's gratitude, there's, something that is that comes back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was given the feedback by someone that I love and treasure that the way that I positioned it was that my actions were conditional. And I really didn't feel it, but the fact that that was this morning and I'm still thinking about it and I'm chewing on it, and I had a couple of kind of high Richter scale charges during the day about it, thinking about it, I think that it's something that I want to look at.
Yeah. So you said it's a familiar pattern, fresh iteration. And if you were to say in one word or phrase, what's going on internally for you right at the moment?
I feel like I am not seen, like I am not appreciated. Yeah. For also my sense of adventure. I think I put myself out there, and I get more input because I put myself out there so fully, and I don't feel seen. I feel like my behavior gets minimized. And the fact that I'm having this reaction feels more like where am I minimizing myself?
Yeah. So in the bit of time we have together, what would feel like an accomplishment for you?
I'd like to take the tightness in my chest and get some relief there, and then maybe have a tool or some way of supporting myself. I let this unfold over time, because I don't think I'll, fix it today. Right. But I think there's something new in how I'm looking at it that's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, your energy is a little bit different than when I talked to you before. And I know you have some fun stuff going on right after this session too.
Yes.
So to just, let's just take a breath together. And imagine how you're wanting to experience this differently. How do you want to go about this? You want to dive in and what makes sense to you?
It feels like a few questions would be helpful I'm aware that I have blind spots, and so there's something that I might not be seeing that other people are seeing. And I don't know that there's the truth, but there is perhaps a truth that could support me as I go forward.
So you're feeling not seen. And isn't that interesting that there's also something you're not seeing, a blind spot?
Yeah. Never thought of it like that, but that is really true.
I almost saw a hall of mirrors, it just depended where you were looking, right? And so the piece about not being seen.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that your gut says is going on there?
Mm-hmm.
What's it tied to?
It's tied to, there's two things that are up. It's like a principle, a life principle or a family principle, value, something. And then also appreciation or an action of appreciation, gratitude. And I think they got, what would you say, convoluted or they got put together. And it was actually two separate things that was looking to help my son understand where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm. So those two different things, if you, what is it that bothers you the most?
What bothers me the most, it feels like the input that I received made it seem like I was just a needy, woman that doesn't have principles, that doesn't see the bigger picture.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm.
How much of this old pattern is playing a part in how you're feeling right now? And how much of it is fresh?
The appreciation part feels pretty old. The principle part is newer, and I think it's my awareness of the bigger picture, and that I care deeply about the big picture, and that I care deeply about passing on principles and values to my children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So how are these two things tied together for you? You've got your principle,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got this feedback that kind of
Mm-hmm.
snaps.
Mm-hmm. That has me in reaction. It kind of seems like a this and that, or both and.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I received the input was very one-dimensional and kind of like it felt dismissive.
Mm-hmm. And so where did your sense of inner strength go in that moment? Your sovereignty or whatever you call
Mm-hmm.
it.
I popped right into ego, and I wanted to figure out a way to be right.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what was the indicator you were heading that direction? Did you have any?
I looked for validation from someone else, told the story and wanted to get, and I told it in a way that the only validation I was really going to get was my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
As I was telling it, I was kind of laughing at myself, and I didn't finish the story. And I said, "Oh, I can see what I'm doing here." I said, "Just let me do. I'm not ready for, any more on this at the moment. Let me just."
So you actually caught yourself in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And you actually made a choice.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And yet it's still hanging with you.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, how would you approach it the next time something like this?
Mm-hmm. I think I do this thing where I do it all together for efficiencies. Mm-hmm. And I could have made it two distinct paragraphs or two distinct things. I could have, instead of, I know what the term is, collapsing. I was collapsing the two. Mm. So I could have made it much clearer what was my request, personal request around gratitude, and then what is our family principle. And I could have made them distinct And it really, honestly, wouldn't have taken that much extra time.
How would it have actually sounded?
That when people do things for us in life, when we're visiting other people's homes, or and we're receiving nice things or nourishment or whatever from people, that we, without hesitation, would be filled with gratitude and then express that gratitude in a thank you. Our actions would reflect, help clearing the table, or help asking, do they need help? Or in other words, it would be in a relationship with that action. And then our principle, our family principle, is that we don't do things in the hopes that we're getting something back. We don't give to get. We are of service, and we give because it's part of our core value of being of service and giving to others. Mm-hmm. When something comes back, we can be grateful, we can be surprised, we can be in relationship with it, but our motivation for giving isn't to get something. Mm-hmm. To help both explain and create the distinction, and ask, my son, I actually did follow up with him today and asked him, did he see what I was saying, and would he like more explanation? And then I asked him what he got from our conversation. And so it was pretty right on the money, but I think I could have just, for anyone who was observing, make the distinction so that it's clear. If I use my Tilt 365 language, it would be to create more clarity, mm-hmm. and be focused on my impact, which was something.
So as you're talking through this, what else is still lingering there underneath?
Mm-hmm. I think it's the piece, and it's very good that you recognize that. You're so good. That I care so much, and I see sometimes that people miss it because they're looking at what I'm doing, and they don't see that behind that is just a really multi-layers.
Mm-hmm. I had an interesting sensation a minute ago when you were talking about your principle, family principle, and you were using we. Your
Mm-hmm.
family's a we.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a way that you were describing it that sounded more conceptual than it felt personal.
Okay.
And then I could feel your heart as you started talking about how much you care. And they were different experiences.
So the we is also a family dynamic. My father, we used to tease him about it was always the royal we. Even after my mother passed, he would say we. And it did sometimes feel impersonal, and he was sort of the king of that. So I can see where that would come across in that impersonal way. And it's that I care, and I care deeply, and that I give without expecting something in return. It's what I do. And I am most times, thrilled and surprised when things come back. Mm-hmm. I would say that I'm recognizing as I'm saying this, that with my kids, it's different. I have an expectation, and part of the expectation is that I want a demonstration of their manners, mm-hmm. be affirmed that when they are at other people's houses, that they are showing and demonstrating manners. So I think that I've discovered something here in that I do have an expectation, mm-hmm. that given, I'd like to say given my son's age, it's probably time that I trust that the teaching has been done, and rest or lean into that he's got it.
When you say that, what are you noticing?
Affirming some other coaching that I've had in the past few weeks, that it's really building up this whole notion of as mother and mother of a teenage son, that it's letting go of the teaching phase and really opening to the trusting.
You know, that hits home with me. It almost sounded like when you were describing the principle and the way we do things in our family. It did sound more like teaching. When you started speaking from your own experience and it was close to the heart, something shifted. And as you're talking about it, I can feel myself in that as well. You said something in the beginning about the person giving feedback said that you were being conditional.
Yes.
And for you, what is that with holding expectation as a part of what's different with your kids?
Well, then it does feel conditional, and it feels that I'm, I mean, the irony is I would give no matter what.
I know.
It's not the giving, it's in the receiving. My receiving is actually conditional because I'm expecting to receive.
Yeah.
So that's where the kind of breakdown happened. I also realized that it was at the end of a day. I mean, it was a super long day and I was threadbare, and that where am I in back to rotating around for appreciation? Where is my ability to appreciate when enough's enough? And that to get myself to the threadbare place where I don't have the resilience to be in relationship and to be more in that space of congruence with myself.
Yet you did pause and abort at a certain point. So you did have some presence of mind there. You said you'd like to have a tool or a strategy so when this kicks up again, what's making sense now that you've been talking through this a bit?
Well, what's really coming through is, and again, as I said, this is a pattern and I cycle through. What works for me is if I literally give, and I am, while I'm cooking or whatever I'm doing, it usually has something to do with the kitchen, to tune into my experience, not the experience that I'm expecting or future projecting, but to stay really in the present moment, because I have so much enjoyment in my creativity when I have several things going at once. And it's almost, I was thinking today that the way that I cook and the way that I am in the kitchen is like choreography, and I love it. And so to really, for me, stay in that present moment. And when I deliver whatever I've danced, just let it go. And that practice of, letting it go would really serve me, because whatever then, if something comes my way, it would be truly a surprise, instead of waiting or having a list in my mind of what I want to hear.
It's interesting because as you talk about the dance, it's sounding like it's your joy. It's your gift to you.
Yes.
And yes, others get to receive it. What hooks you? What gets you out of the moment? What is going on in your head when that happens?
When I start thinking of what I want from it, or I switch to ego.
When you go from the dance to something else.
It's the achievement. So I go to an achievement, and then I want a grade. And I want an A. Actually, I should be honest. I want an A.
So what has you not accepting that A from yourself?
I know. So I flip from being inner living from the inside out to living from the outside in. So I'm looking for something out there to come and fill me, instead of really affirming how full I feel. I know what else it is. So I have the feeling while I'm in it, and I'm really having a lot of joy. When I finish it, that's almost like the light switch when I go out. And so there's a way that I could check myself. How are you feeling right now, Sarah? Look, take a moment, pause, get present, and look at what I create and enjoy it. I think I told you at some retreat that we were at that your soul collage is how I feel about my food, because I am looking at textures and layers and colors, and it's what I love to do. And so I am not admiring it much. I'm finishing it, and then it's off to the races of looking for feedback. And so to really look at my own creation and spend some time appreciating it more. And that can be enough when I do it. When I do get myself to pause and look, I really do love it. And I love the dance. I mean, earlier today, I was doing something and I was just going, wow, this is like choreography.
You keep using the metaphor of dance. I love it. The dance in the kitchen with all this beautiful food preparation and all that.
Yeah.
If it really were a dance, what would make it so dynamic at completion that the satisfaction would be complete for you? You were on the stage in a dance or whatever. Or you're on Chopped.
Well, a couple of things came to me. I was thinking, okay, it doesn't really work to journal about it. I was thinking of a bow, but then I was also thinking of, I love chronicling things. So maybe I always have my phone, usually with some kind of music going, to just take pictures and enjoy my pictures and use that as a way of affirming myself and what I'm doing, that I love it for me, and the expression of what I love so dearly.
Ooh, chronicling it.
Yeah.
Visual. What if you get the first bite? Do you get the first bite?
Well, it depends. I have vegetarian, I have meat eaters, and then between. So it's, but I do get bites. Yes, I do.
It's a complex dance with lots of different players.
We have a lot of pots and pans at our house. When the cleanup comes, it's pretty big.
Is that enough for you? The chronicle picture, or is there something else?
It does. I mean, I can feel, I don't know what the project is yet, but I just feel like something's going to come from it, and I just want to let it emerge. I don't know what it will happen, but I think it's, sometimes my friend David and I will cook, and we do at least one monumental meal a year, and we take a lot of pictures, and then he posts it on his Facebook. So I don't know that I would post them per se, but I might do some kind of an album or something, how you can do Shutterfly or something like that. And just have something for myself of what I love to do. Mm-hmm.
So what are you noticing internally has shifted for you?
I'm really getting that when I do it for myself, I'm not hurting or dominating other people, that I'm just doing it for myself. It's feeling already like I wanted my diaphragm. I can't even feel my lungs against my diaphragm right now. It feels very relaxed and open.
Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that feels important, at least to talk about or take forward around this pattern?
I think it's funny that I'm actually making work part of my self-care. So I'm making, what is work, because I'm cooking and doing that, but it's really part of my self-care. And that by looking at it that way and understanding that it's a joyous, artistic, creative place for me, that I can honor myself in that self-care.
So that is the first time the work dynamic slipped in. So there's still an aspect of this is work or this is something. How are you defining work when you talk about that?
It's that it is a work of, like I would call it, a work of art.
Yeah.
But it's a manifestation of taking, things that are raw and whatever, and creating something from it. So it's a work. It's also, as we're talking about it, it's a work in progress for me on how I hold it and how I play with it.
All right. And so this work of art is also play and self-care, creative outlet. Anything else that's important to claim?
Well, it's really part of my legacy. My family from Norway used to cook and prepare food for the King of Norway. He would go to the northern part of Norway for the hunting lodge. And so it's in my DNA. And so as I'm even, when you said, is there one other thing or is there something else? It really came through that for me, it's a very strong connection to my mother, who's been gone for many, many years, almost more years now than I had her. And then her mother, who I never got to meet, and then her mother. So there's this whole piece of legacy. Yeah.
It's interesting as you're tying it to that bigger family picture, and you are the mother in the scenario you were talking about today.
Yes.
You're living a legacy. Wow.
Yeah. And I think bringing through the joy, because of the work that we get to do in this world, bringing through more of the joy and the obligation or the duty. And my grandmother, especially, she ran a hotel in rural Oregon in the logging towns. And it was a tremendous amount of work that she did. So I have realistically a small family to express this talent through and joy that I have. So there's also something healing. It really brought it started out as a heaviness, and then the more we've been talking about it, it's really lightened up as far as thinking of it, coming through each generation, and that I have the ability to bring more joy and more dance and more fun to it.
How'd we do? Where are we? And how are you feeling about our progress today?
Jennifer, I've never been here before, and I love that. I love taking a pattern and being in a new place. It's a whole new place for me to put together. And I just can't wait to see how it unfurls. Or what do you call it? Unfolds. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, good work. You worked through it. There were a couple of tender connections going on.
Yeah.
We were talking about the women in your lineage. There was another moment of tenderness.
And I really wanted to feel it fully in my heart without necessarily collapsing into the deeper emotion that could take me out of it. So I feel it really fully. And it just feels really right, really good.
Sounds like it's going to be a pretty juicy experience coming up here next.
I think so. Yeah.
Anything else to feel complete today?
No, we did it. Thank you.
Oh, Sarah, looking forward to connecting again soon.
Oh, me too.
All right.
All right. Well, have a fun weekend. I bet is it super warm over there?
It's not super warm. It's about 72. It's gorgeous. But I still have to, right now it's already dropped down to 58. And so it drops.
I know the night is so cold.
It's crazy.
We have the double comforter on our bed right now. Yeah. Because I don't like to turn on the heat. I like to be cold and then warm with heavy. Yeah. But we just put the second comforter on this week.
I need to do that too.
Yeah, I know. I like the heaviness. I like feeling like I'm in a snow lodge in Heidi. Remember that movie? Yeah.
Well, you go have a wonderful time with your girlfriends.
All right. Thank you. And you're such a great time manager. Look at you. You rock.
Well, I also have girlfriend dates too.
Oh, good. Well, see, we're honoring, and that, you know, what the studies show is that we'll live longer. Do you know this? They have all these studies that people who have that network of friends and make the time, that they live longer. And of course, because we have those friends. Yeah.
I believe it.
So, yeah.
Oh.